Dear Tom, my name is Ali and I'm a Palestinian. You know where I'm going with this, but don't turn away just yet. I promise you, this message comes from a place of love and humility. First, I'd like to point out that I'm a dedicated fan. I've been to many of your concerts and I have your music on repeat. Your music's been both inspirational and reflective. But for me, as I know for you, it's not just about the music. It's about how you use your talent to make art that speaks to the human condition. I remember at a concert in Paris when I watched you perform Everything in Its Right Place with a Tibetan flag over your piano. As a descendant of a stateless people, this act of solidarity spoke volumes to me. But almost instantly, another thought appeared to me. To support Tibet is to add your name to a cause that's already fashionable. But would I ever see you do the same with a Palestinian flag? Would you ever support a people so oppressed that even mentioning their oppression could lead to being falsely labeled an anti-Semite, to being outcast? I remember thinking what privilege you have in being able to choose which cause you wish to champion, and how few of those with power express solidarity with Palestinians out of fear of losing that power. As a Palestinian myself, I don't get to choose. We're born into a cause that has few allies in places of power. My parents were born in exile. They were the children of refugees who survived massacres by Zionist militias, whose villages were razed to the ground, who were forced to leave the land they knew with nothing but what they could carry. They drifted from nation to nation as undocumented refugees. My parents raised my siblings and I here in the States, and after 40 years of working as a university professor, building a community in a school, and raising awareness about human and civil rights, my father was made a political prisoner for years due to his activism and was eventually deported out of the country away from his children. Since 1948, Palestinians have been the unwanted refugee, the burden, the terrorist. In reality, we're just human beings, victims of a settler colonial project, being lectured on the humanity of our oppressors, on the idea that the ones who kicked us out and currently occupy our homes deserve to listen to your music over the graves of our ancestors. And I mean that literally. The venue you're performing in Tel Aviv was built over a Palestinian village that was razed and massacred by Zionist settlers. I know what you might be thinking. If we can play in Trump's America, we can play in Netanyahu's Israel. Look at it this way. There is no organized boycott effort when it comes to America, but there is an ongoing international effort when it comes to Palestinian rights. In 2005, Palestinians called on the international community to adhere to a cultural, academic, and economic boycott of Israel until it complies with international law. Many prominent global artists, athletes, and academics, including Israelis themselves, are part of this movement, despite facing isolation and threats from the more prominent fascist currents in their society. Because the fact of the matter is, just as apartheid South Africa was, Israeli society is shaped by racism both structurally and within the population itself, where segregation is actively practiced, along with land theft and violence against the indigenous population, committed with complete impunity in defiance of international law. Palestinian civil society has reached a consensus that boycott, divestment, and sanctions is the best chance to resist. For those living outside to add their voices to those suffering there, to apply pressure on this occupying state to cease its criminality. If we don't uplift and respect the Palestinians engaging in nonviolent resistance, then we're only paving the path to more war and violence. Just as there were those who chose to violate the boycott of apartheid South Africa, there are those today who in the name of neutrality choose to ignore the Palestinian call for justice. However, you must know that to be neutral in the face of injustice is to choose the side of the oppressor. I know this isn't about money for you. I know you're a politically conscious band that speaks truth to power. It's one of the reasons I love you guys so much, and it's why you playing in Israel hurts that much more. So what is this about? Is this about trying to reach your fans there? If so, what about your Palestinian fans? Will you play loud enough to reach over the apartheid wall? Will you visit the village of Bilain, home of the broken camera, where nonviolent resistance still gets you killed? I believe that being a fan is more than just consuming your work and making you rich. Beyond the culture of celebrity worship is a two-way street. If I'm truly your fan, and if I truly care about you, then it is my duty to respectfully hold you accountable. You were never a musician that pretended that art was separate from politics. You always knew that to be an artist was to be a political being, and politics has always played a role in your music. As an artist with global reach and influence, you now have a decision to make. Will you allow your voice to be used to normalize a brutal occupation that continues to be the source of misery for millions? Or will you use it to speak for those who don't have a voice in the halls of power? Tom, which side of history will you be on?